Hi everyone, welcome to our Movie Palace channel. We're thrilled to have you here. Whether you're a returning subscriber or a new visitor, you're in the right place for engaging content, exciting stories, and so much more. Before we dive into today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We love hearing from you, so be sure to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Olympus Has Fallen is a political action thriller directed by Antoine Fuqua. The film stars Gerard Butler as Secret Service agent Mike Banning, who must rescue the U.S. president after terrorists seize the White House. The story begins with Mike Banning, a dedicated Secret Service agent and close friend of President Benjamin Asher. During a winter drive to Camp David, an accident results in the death of the First Lady. Though Banning saves the president, he is reassigned to a desk job at the U.S. Treasury, haunted by the tragedy. 18 months later, the White House, codenamed Olympus, is attacked by North Korean terrorists led by Kang Yonsik.
Unidentified flight, you must divert immediately to Vector 020. This is your final warning. You will be shot down. Acknowledge. Enemy aircraft, we're taking fire.
Kang, disguised as a South Korean official, gains access to the White House and launches a well-coordinated assault with air and ground forces. A massive shootout ensues, killing many Secret Service agents and military personnel. Kang takes President Asher and several top officials hostage in the underground bunker. His demands include the withdrawal of U.S. forces from the Korean peninsula and access to Cerberus, a system that can launch the country's nuclear arsenal. As the attack unfolds, Banning rushes into action, fighting his way into the White House. With communication lines down, he becomes the only hope for rescuing the president. Using his combat skills and knowledge of the White House layout, he eliminates terrorists one by one and contacts acting President Alan Trumbull to coordinate efforts. Kang executes the South Korean Prime Minister and threatens further killings unless his demands are met. Meanwhile, he works to activate Cerberus, needing the access codes from 3 key officials. 2 officials break under pressure, leaving only President Asher to prevent the launch. Banning infiltrates the bunker, engaging in a brutal fight with Kang. He manages to kill the terrorist leader and rescues President Asher before Cerberus is activated. With the White House secured, Banning is reinstated as a Secret Service agent, and the nation begins to rebuild. London Has Fallen is an action thriller and the sequel to Olympus Has Fallen 2013. Directed by Babak Najafi, the film follows Secret Service agent Mike Banning Gerard Butler as he protects U.S. President Benjamin Asher Aaron Eckhart during a massive terrorist attack in London. The movie begins with a drone strike ordered by the U.S. against Pakistani arms dealer Amir Barkawi Alon Monia Bootbul, who is believed to be responsible for numerous terrorist attacks. Though the strike appears successful, Barkawi and his son survive. 2 years later, world leaders gather in London for the British Prime Minister's funeral. Unbeknownst to them, Barkawi has orchestrated an elaborate plan for revenge. As the dignitaries arrive, coordinated terrorist attacks devastate London. Explosions destroy famous landmarks. Heavily armed gunmen disguised as police officers ambush security forces, and leaders from several nations are assassinated. Banning manages to extract President Asher from the chaos, but their helicopter is shot down. Forced to flee on foot, they evade terrorists through the city while trying to reach safety. Meanwhile, Barkawi's men hack into London's surveillance system, making it nearly impossible for authorities to track the terrorists. Vice President Alan Trumbull, Morgan Freeman and the Pentagon monitor the crisis, trying to assist Banning remotely. Barkawi's son Cameron Waleed Zuader takes command on the ground and orders Ash's capture. Banning and Asher take refuge in MI6 safe houses, where they receive help from an undercover agent, Jacqueline Marshall Charlotte Riley. However, terrorists capture Asher and plan to execute him live on the internet. Banning launches a one-man assault on the terrorists' hideout, killing Cameron and rescuing the president moments before his execution. With Asher safe, U.S. forces destroy Barkawi's compound with a drone strike, finally eliminating the terrorist leader. Banning, who had considered resigning due to the dangerous nature of his job, decides to stay after witnessing the threat against his country. The film ends with him deleting his resignation letter, reaffirming his commitment to protecting the president. Geostorm is a science fiction disaster film directed by Dean Devlin, starring Gerard Butler, Jim Sturgis, and Abby Cornish. The story is set in a near-future world where global warming has reached catastrophic levels, prompting nations to come together to create a network of satellites known as Dutch Boy to control the Earth's climate and prevent natural disasters. The film begins in the year 2019, with the global climate crisis threatening the planet. To counter this, an international team of scientists develops the Dutch Boy program, a series of climate-controlling satellites that can manipulate the weather to prevent extreme weather events. The program is initially successful, saving millions of lives, but it comes with its own risks. Jake Lawson, the brilliant scientist who helped design Dutch Boy, is ousted from the program due to a falling out with his brother, Max, who is now the U.S. Secretary of State. 3 years later, the satellites begin malfunctioning, causing a series of deadly natural disasters around the world, including massive storms, floods, and temperature spikes. The situation grows dire when a satellite in space causes a geostorm, a massive storm system that threatens to wipe out entire continents. Jake is brought back into the fold to investigate the cause of the malfunctions and prevent the impending geostorm. He travels to the space station where the Dutch Boy satellites are controlled, and soon discovers that the system has been sabotaged. With the help of his ex-wife, Sarah, who is now a U.S. government official, Jake uncovers a conspiracy. Someone has intentionally manipulated the satellites to create catastrophic weather events for financial and political gain. Jake and Max must work together to stop the saboteur before the geostorm becomes an unstoppable disaster. As they race against time, they face numerous obstacles, including the threat of further sabotage and the impending storm. In a final showdown, they manage to prevent the geostorm from destroying the Earth, with Jake and his team repairing the Dutch Boy system just in time. Angel Has Fallen is an action-packed, intense thriller that explores themes of betrayal, redemption, and loyalty. Directed by Rick Romanwa and starring Gerard Butler, Morgan Freeman, and Nick Nolte. In this film, Secret Service agent Mike Banning Gerard Butler is falsely accused of attempting to assassinate U.S. President Alan Trumbull. Morgan Freeman and must clear his name while being hunted by both the law and terrorists. The story begins with a routine trip for President Trumbull, who is traveling to Camp David for a rest. While on the way, Banning, the head of the president's security detail, is caught in an elaborate assassination attempt. A drone attack and a barrage of gunfire target the convoy, nearly killing President Trumbull. In the chaos, Banning manages to protect the president, but the attackers manage to escape. Despite Banning's heroism, evidence begins to surface suggesting that he was involved in the attack. A series of covert maneuvers by the real assailant.
What the? He just went dead. Yes,
frame Banning for the assassination attempt, and he is forced to go on the run. The FBI, led by Agent Helen Thompson Jada Pinkett Smith, quickly pursues him as a fugitive, believing he was responsible for the attack. Banning seeks refuge with his estranged father, Clay Nick Nolte, a former Vietnam War veteran living in a remote cabin. As Banning and Clay try to stay one step ahead of the authorities, Banning begins to uncover a conspiracy orchestrated by a group of mercenaries led by an arms dealer, who wants to exploit the president's death for political and financial gain. These mercenaries are backed by forces within the US government, making Banning's situation even more dire. As the authorities close in, Banning works to prove his innocence by uncovering the real culprits behind the attack. With the help of Clay, Banning tracks down the mercenaries and confronts the mastermind. In a final showdown, Banning takes down the attackers, clears his name, and saves President Trumbull, who survives the assassination attempt. Den of Thieves is an American action crime film written, produced and directed by Christian Gudgst. In Los Angeles. A group of robbers, led by Ray Merriman, hijacks an armored truck in a violent shootout. Though they escape, the truck is empty, leaving Detective Big Nick Bryan puzzled. Nick, a tough and relentless cop, suspects a bartender named Donnie and kidnaps him for interrogation. Meanwhile, Merriman and his crew are planning a daring robbery, stealing $30 million in untraceable bills from the Federal Reserve before they get shredded. Donnie, pretending to be a food delivery guy, sneaks inside the bank and hides supplies for the heist. Nick, however, is dealing with personal troubles. His wife, Debbie, finds out he's been unfaithful and leaves him, taking their daughters with her. Desperate, Nick tries to reconnect with his family but fails. At the same time, Merriman is watching him closely, even sending a stripper to spy on his phone. The big day arrives. Merriman's crew creates a distraction by robbing a regular bank and faking a hostage shooting. While the police are occupied, Donnie sneaks into the Federal Reserve inside a cash cart. He swaps the old bills with shredded paper and smuggles the real money out using a trash truck. Nick's team chases the robbers, leading to a deadly shootout. Merriman's men are killed, and Nick corners Merriman, fatally shooting him. But when Nick checks the getaway van, all he finds are bags of shredded paper. The real money is gone. Later, Nick visits Donnie's bar and sees pictures of him with the heist crew. Flashbacks reveal the shocking truth: Donnie was the true mastermind, outsmarting everyone to take all the money. Now, he is in London, working at another bar, already setting his sights on the next big target, the Diamond Exchange. A thrilling story of crime, betrayal, and a mastermind's perfect escape. Teddy Moretto, a con artist, finds himself trapped in a small-town jail after a series of chaotic events. He's on the run from two hitmen, Bob Vidic and Anthony Lamb. Moretto's attempt to use the police for protection backfires when Vidic engineers his own arrest, and Lamb infiltrates the station, turning it into a bloodbath. The situation escalates as corrupt officers join the fray. Moretto, revealing his connection to a casino mob boss and a murdered attorney general, convinces the injured rookie officer, Allery Young, to release him. He promises to stop the corrupt cops, Huber and Lamb, who are trying to break into the holding cells. A violent confrontation ensues, with Moretto, Vidic, and the corrupt officers engaging in a deadly game of cat and mouse. Amidst the chaos, loyalties shift, and betrayals abound. Moretto, seemingly seeking escape, initially appears to cooperate with Young. However, his true intentions are revealed when he attempts to set the police station ablaze after double-crossing both Vidic and Lamb. Young, despite her injuries, confronts Moretto, leading to a final showdown. The situation takes another twist when a corrupt detective shoots Young, only to be killed by Vidic, who then escapes. Young, refusing to be defeated, commandeers an ambulance and pursues Vidic, setting the stage for a dramatic climax. The story culminates in a chase, highlighting the tenacity of Young and the unpredictable nature of the characters involved. John Garrity, a Scottish structural engineer living in Atlanta, Georgia, is trying to reconcile with his estranged wife, Allison, and care for their diabetic son, Nathan. As they prepare to host a party to watch a recently discovered interstellar comet named Clark, John receives a mysterious automated phone call informing him that his family has been pre-selected for emergency sheltering. While at the grocery store with Nathan, John notices military cargo planes flying north, raising his suspicions. As the comet fragment enters Earth's atmosphere, a shockwave from the impact rattles their home, revealing that Tampa, Florida, has been completely destroyed. John's family receives instructions to evacuate to Robins Air Force Base, leaving their panicked neighbors behind. A neighbor warns them that Clark is a massive cluster of objects set to cause an extinction-level event. Despite a desperate plea from a neighbor to save their daughter, the Garritys leave, knowing additional people would be turned away. At the airbase, the family is separated when a soldier discovers Nathan's diabetes, disqualifying him from boarding. As Allison and Nathan are escorted out, John returns to the car for Nathan's insulin, only to realize too late that his family is no longer there. Amid the ensuing chaos, including a mob breach and gunfight that destroys several evacuation planes, John manages to escape and finds a note from Allison indicating she and Nathan are heading to her father's house in Lexington, Kentucky. Allison and Nathan get a ride from a couple, Ralph and Judy, but Ralph attempts to kidnap Nathan after learning about their evacuation status. Nathan manages to alert authorities, reuniting with Allison at a FEMA camp. Meanwhile, John encounters survivors who reveal that the bunkers are in Greenland, setting him on a desperate journey to reunite with his family. After a series of near-death experiences, John finds Allison and Nathan at her father's house. With the impact only hours away, they decide to make a last attempt to reach Canada for a flight to Greenland. Along the way, they endure a meteor shower that devastates the landscape, but they manage to reach a departing plane just in time. Although the plane crashed upon reaching Greenland, the family makes it to the bunkers. 9 months later, the survivors emerge to a radically changed world. The atmosphere is finally clearing, and humanity begins to rebuild, hopeful as radio contact with other survivors confirms life around the globe. Hunter Killer is a military action thriller directed by Donovan Marsh, starring Gerard Butler. The film follows a U.S. submarine crew and a Navy SEAL team as they attempt to prevent World War III. The story begins with a mysterious incident in the Arctic Ocean. A U.S. submarine, the USS Tampa Bay, disappears while tracking a Russian submarine. In response, the U.S. Navy deploys the USS Arkansas, a hunter-killer submarine commanded by newly appointed Captain Joe Glass, to investigate. At the same time, a Navy SEAL team led by Lieutenant Bill Beeman is sent on a covert mission to observe Russian naval activity. The SEAL team discovers a shocking revelation: Russian Defense Minister Dmitry Durov has launched a coup against Russian President Zakharin. Durov aims to ignite a war by falsely blaming the U.S. for the disappearance of Russian submarines. The SEALs witness Zakharin being taken hostage at a heavily guarded naval base. Realizing the dire consequences, they secretly relay the information to U.S. authorities. Meanwhile, Captain Glass and his crew locate the sunken USS Tampa Bay and discover that it was deliberately destroyed. They also find a damaged Russian submarine and rescue its surviving captain, Sergei Andropov. Despite their nations being at odds, Glass and Andropov form a reluctant alliance to navigate the escalating crisis. With time running out, The Pentagon authorizes a high-risk mission. Captain Glass must navigate the USS Arkansas into enemy waters while the SEALs attempt a daring rescue operation to free President Zakharin. The SEAL team infiltrates the Russian base, engaging in intense combat before successfully extracting Zakharin. However, their escape is compromised, and they are forced to rely on Glass and the Arkansas for rescue. As Russian warships prepare to attack the U.S. submarine, Captain Glass persuades Andropov to help him communicate with loyal Russian forces. At the last moment, Andropov convinces his countrymen to stand down, preventing a catastrophic war. The coup is thwarted, Durov is eliminated, and President Zakharin is restored to power. In the end, Captain Glass and his crew return safely, having averted global conflict. Hunter Killer is a gripping, action-packed thriller that highlights themes of leadership, trust, and diplomacy amidst high-stakes military tension.